Time for our Sunday morning Q&A, and joining us this morning is Congressman Elijah Cummings. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in today.
It's good to be with you.
So, coming out of the story on Herman Cain bowing out of the presidential race, how do you think that will impact the way things unfold?
I think it'll probably help Gingrich, and Herman Cain really had to get out of the race. There was so much damage done there, and so I think it'll affect Gingrich. I think he'll get probably most of the numbers will go to him, coming from Herman Cain. And I think the Republicans clearly are not settled on Romney. They don't like him. He can't get beyond 23 points. And so that's going to make it very interesting for the primary. I fully expect that Gingrich will be the nominee.
Okay. Well, moving on to an issue that sparked outrage all over the country, the idea that some companies are hoarding life-saving drugs and then selling them at a markup to patients. So tell us about this practice of gray marketing and what you're doing to try to get rid of it.
Yes. What Brenda Freese, the head basketball coach of Maryland's women's basketball, came to me about 6 months ago, and her son was getting leukemia treatment, and she discovered that the drug companies were hoarding drugs, and so these drugs become in short supply, and these are basically cancer drugs and drugs used for anesthesia. And so what these companies do is they buy up, they don't manufacture any drugs, they don't treat anybody, they hoard up the drugs, they mark the prices up. For example, the drugs that Brenda Freese's child needed, they were buying them for $9 a vial and selling them for $990 a vial. That's right. And there are a lot of companies that are doing this. And so it's my role as the top Democrat on oversight and government reform. We are now looking into these companies to figure out how they're doing this. We had a witness to come in just this week, a doctor from South Carolina Hospital, who said we are running our medicine in this country like a third world country. There are people right now who cannot get chemotherapy treatments because these gray companies are buying the drugs up, letting them go into short supply, and then selling them to the hospitals at these prices. And there are a lot of them. There are over 200 drugs that are shortage. Somebody could get cancer today and not be able to get treatment. And by the way, this is happening all over the country. It's happening right here in our state.
So are they breaking the law, or would you actually have to pass new legislation to stop them?
They are on the verge of breaking the law. The FBI is now looking into it. But if it's not criminal, it should be criminal. Again, children are being denied medications that they need to address life-threatening problems. So, and by the way, they also are doing this with regard to drugs that treat breast cancer, ovarian cancer. These are the kinds of drugs that they know people must have, and so therefore that they do this. And we've seen cases where they've marked up drugs as much as 650%. Wow. It's incredible.
Okay. Well, moving on, millions of long-term unemployed Americans could see their benefits dry up by the end of the year.
It won't happen. It won't happen. The Congress is not going to allow, if it was up to the Republicans, they would run out of benefits. But I can tell you that with millions of Americans about to run out of benefits through no fault of their own, they cannot find the jobs. The jobs simply aren't there. And this is one of the best ways to get the economy moving, by the way. For every dollar we spend on unemployment benefits, it calculates into $2 being spent in the economy, generated in the economy. So we've got to do this, and we will do it, period.
But some Republicans would say we can't afford $50 billion. That expenditure is just too much.
We're going to find a way. I'm telling you, I bet everything I've got that it'll happen. The Republicans, I think they are short on compassion, long on conservatism. We're a better country than that. We're better than that. We have never allowed this many people to be unemployed for this long and not help them. And it's not going to start now.
And what do you say to people on the other side of the aisle who might say, look, we just can't afford to spend that kind of money and do payroll tax cuts if the super committee can't get us out of this deficit?
Well, the fact is that we will find a pay for. What the president has said is that he wants to tax those making over $1 million, 3.5% over $1 million. In other words, you make your million and then paying 3.5% to pay for this. The Republicans now, at first they said they didn't want to go along with the holiday. Now they're saying to go along, but they want to go along with it in a way that's very harmful to people in our region, because we have a lot of federal employees. What they want to do is extend 2 more years over the present 2 years, no increases with regard to pay. That's horrible. So in other words, trying to make the federal employees who are already making very little money pay for that. It's not going to work.
Well, speaking of federal employees, quickly we got an email from a viewer who is a postal employee, and they want to know your ideas for making the Postal Service more solvent.
We've got to, as a matter of fact, that's something I've been working on very hard. We've got to downsize. We've got to let go about 130,000 federal employees, but we're going to do it with compassion. We're going to take money that they've been overpaying in their FERS account, that is their retirement accounts, and let them have a compassionate retirement. These are people that are already eligible for retirement. Basically what's happened to the postal system is that because people are not using first-class mail, and the only money that the Postal Service gets is from stamps. A lot of people don't know that. They don't get money from the government. So therefore, because people are now using computers, the money coming into the Postal Service is low, but the employee level is high. Another thing that's probably going to happen, a lot of people don't like it, I don't like it, but we're probably going to go to a 5-day instead of 6-day.
Cut out the Saturday mail.
Cut out the Saturday mail.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for coming in.
I wish we had more time.
Okay, me too. Well, we'll have you back soon. Thank you.
You.
And don't go away. We'll be